Why are we doing this again?
I made a promise to the author. The author? Shut up. I promised I'd review it.
I don't think you outright promised anything.
That's exactly why you're just on my shoulder. Besides, reviewing this could give me some interesting pointers on how to make my own comic series.
You mean the one you've only got one page of online?
Don't even get me started, you son of a bitch!
Would that make you the bitch?
Planet Earth, I need a friend, 'cause I'm on the outside looking in. I'm an alien, I'm just an alien.
Hello, I'm the good.
I'm the bad.
And I'm your host, and today we have a very special topic. This is Planet Ripple, an indie comic series by Nicholas Anderson, also known as Nick on Planet Ripple on YouTube and DeviantArt. I follow him on both sites, first on DA because of his involvement with the Bionicle community. In fact, if you recognize his name, it's probably from his rather popular Bionicle prose series Nova Orbis, which I should probably read. That, or you're here from his Discord channel that I posted this in. Hello. I think the back of Planet Ripple gives the best synopsis. A tale of a cyborg girl with autism finding her way in a world gone down the drain. Also there's mermaids. Sorta. Nick is actually on the autistic spectrum, so I thought a critic on it as well should give his opinion on such a story. So when he released volumes 1 and 2, I asked him if I could review it on my show. He said yes, and here we are. I just hope I can pick up enough from Linkara on how to review a comic instead of a film. Before we start though, we want to deliver a special message to Nick and really anybody who's thinking about making comics. Pick up a copy of Making Comics by Scott McCloud. This is an invaluable and essential tool for comic makers, and we do not put that lightly. You know, most books like this can be somewhat helpful, but in our opinion, this book is more important than both Stan Lee's How to Draw and Write comics. Yeah, not even Stan the Man Lee can compare to Scott McCloud here. Plus, it's fun to see the creative ways he draws everything, and it's even pretty funny. Consider showing your work in progress to a friend to catch such mix-ups in the rough planning stage, and in the finished art, of course. Dude, this girl's breast does not look right. That's supposed to be my dad! Anyway, speaking of Linkara, let's start with the cover, since it's not in a trade.
Even though we feel like he isn't totally right and why he doesn't.
But that's not why we're here. Honestly, this is a great cover. Mysterio 2099 here going, "Does this bug you? I'm not touching you," with the surface of the ocean. No, but really, this is a nice cover. Sets up the world very nicely. And while the protagonist, Minnow, isn't really visible enough on this cover, the back shows her out of the suit, so it's fine. We open on Log 1, Regret. I farted underwater. Actually, there's nothing to regret there, especially in this world. The next page is a beautiful full-page panel just showing the scope of this ocean compared to the tiny dots that are our characters. Ready to hunt for treasure, Minnow? Uh-huh.
And already we have a sign of an amateur. In various pages you can clearly see that the borders aren't clean. Several brush strokes poke through into the negative space between panels.
Anyway, this is our hero Minnow, and her adoptive mother, I guess? It's complicated, but her name is Andrea. Like she said, they're treasure hunting.
It's never really said what for, and honestly never really happens again. At least not in this volume.
I'd assume it's for archaeological purposes, though. They come upon an old yellow door, and Andrea uses an underwater blowtorch? Are those a thing? Apparently yes. Behind the door is an old bedroom, where Minnow finds an old giraffe plush. What? There's no way animals like this were ever real.
Bitch, the ocean is home to some of the weirdest creatures on Earth, and you're telling me a long-necked horse is too hard to believe.
Minnow starts to get rid of it, but Andrea said something that well preserved could still be valuable.
What? Uh-oh!
A nondescript quake occurs right on cue, and Andrea has to sacrifice herself for Minnow, which Minnow is upset by? Minnow manages to save the giraffe plush for some reason, though, and is recovered by her ship, the Baylina. Don't worry, Minnow. We'll have you out soon. And thus Minnow became a big sister. Sorry, I had to force that joke out. You then get our logo, which we really like. It's coincidentally very reminiscent of the prototype version of the Bionicle logo by Christian Faber, who even more coincidentally is working on an undersea project right now. The logo is made even cooler on the back cover with the addition of actual ripples, though it could probably do with some outlines on the letters to make them easier to make out. After the logo, we get an awesome opening scene 7 years later with no dialogue for a full 6 pages.
However, now that we get a good look at Minnow, I have to address something. I'm not sure if Minnow is feminine enough. Now before I get into this, let me just say I don't think she should be a goddamn bimbo. But unless there's a good reason not to, a visual storyteller should always make the gender of a character apparent the second you see them. But if I showed you most of the panels of Minnow without telling you she's a girl, I wouldn't blame you if you thought she was a boy. And there could be several ways to make her gender more apparent without making her sexualized, and Nick even does possibly the most effective one in close-ups: eyelashes. But if you were to add them in other panels too, this might be taken care of. Or like, maybe added a really worn bow into her hair if it's not too girly. I don't fucking know.
We see that Minnow is generally regarded as a freak by other people before we move on to log 2. The intro page tells us that everyone now lives in city-sized ships. Then we see Minnow pleading to see the surface with her boss? Headmistress? It's never really explained, but her name is Christina Marks. I'm sensing a pattern here. We find out the boy who insulted Minnow earlier, Kelsey, is actually Marks' nephew.
God damn it, I already have another problem. Why the hell is the dialogue so small? The text is tiny, and there's more than enough space in each panel to make it bigger. It's so small that you can barely ever see the periods, reminding us of how early comics used exclamation marks more because distributors weren't sure if periods would show up in the primitive print. And the all-caps font doesn't help either, since you can't tell where a new sentence starts with a capital letter.
Anyway, Marks allows Minnow to see someone named Puppy once she gets her work done, but as she's finishing up, she sees the giraffe plush stuffed into a toilet. Oh no, I'm getting swirly flashbacks! We then get a flashback to 12 years ago, when Andrea met Minnow after she was brought on board on Dolphinback. Reminds me of Shark Boy's origin in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Minnow confronts Kelsey, saying that the giraffe is all she has left of Andrea. Miss Marks comes along and says that pretty much everyone would have preferred Minnow died instead of Andrea.
Don't look at me like I'm so terrible. You think I'm the only one who feels that way? They just don't have the guts to come out and say it. But most of them are thinking it. We'd all take Andrea over you. And we're not in the wrong for feeling that way.
I guess she's kinda right. During an apocalypse, you'd want a respected authority figure to survive, and I suppose everybody reacts to loss differently. Still a bitch, though. Later, Kelsey stops by Minnow's room to apologize, only to find her unconscious on the floor, making him start to freak out. What? Minnow, what happened? Are you hurt? Don't tell me she did something to herself because of what my aunt said. Come on, wake up. Sorry. Where do I hide the body if there's nowhere to bury it? After another flashback showing that whatever was lodged in her side was the only thing keeping her alive, Minnow wakes up in the infirmary where the doctor says both her synthetic and real kidney were both dead, though they were able to restart the robo-kidney. This gives her a couple months until they find a replacement, but it could still give out at any time.
You understood what I've just said to you.
Yes. Lung cancer. Inoperable.
You bitch! It's the perfect look.
At the end of the log, we find out Puppy is Minnow's pet seal. Log 3. Healing. Most cyborg limbs are made to be easily attached, removed and replaced via cuffs surgically grafted to the body. Young cyborgs may go through several surgeries to replace their cuffs, with larger ones as their bodies grow. Cyborgs who use the cuff system can exchange their limbs for a variety of other ones, specialized for certain tasks. However, should their bodies reject the implanted cuffs, the grafted areas will be prone to infections and need to be treated regularly with a healing substance called Vitae. Harvested from the ocean's greatest depths and distributed worldwide by Cura Industries, Vitae is commonly sold in capsules designed to be inserted into a special compartment within the cuff, which then injects it throughout the afflicted areas, flushing them.
Quick question. Why the kidney thing? Maybe it comes back in later volumes, but in this one at least it remains an unfired Chekhov's gun, and doesn't seem to serve any other literary function either. It could have easily just been the withholding of the Vitae instead.
We cut to a classroom where Minnow is just kinda hanging out for some reason, and the kids are being shown a video lesson. Sweet, so in the future every day's a sub day! We also see that apparently the year is 15,872? God damn, what the hell's the timeline of this world? The term super piranha carries a fairly obvious implication that these descended from very different freshwater piranhas who lived in small bodies of water on land.
Well, my mother says there never was any such thing as land, and we were kicked out of the ocean for our sins!
And even then we can't get rid of conservatives. The lesson being taught is on the merfolk, who we get to see as Minnow goes to the surface. One of them comes up and talks to her, and I'm not comfortable with how hot I find her. Her name is Noma, and she decides to chat with Minnow. What's she doing? It's making me a little uncomfortable. Is she trying to make me feel better? They say merfolk can be extremely empathetic. Am I missing something here? I guess I'll just talk. Yeah, that's pretty accurate to an autistic's thought process to interaction. After Noma calls her son Naum up to meet Minnow, we cut to another merfolk named Nulk. Do all their names start with N? talking to the ship's captain, warning him about pirates in Nolgo Island. The worst are their commanders. Giant metal monstrosities who sacrificed their humanity long ago in the name of their queen. Wow, Beyonce fans in the future are even worse than they are now. We cut back to Minnow, where she explains she's been warned not to have children due to her autism, and she really seems to believe it. Noma calls out the bullshit argument. That's a dreadful outlook to have. What? Tell me who told you that, and I'll make them apologize to you. I think you're confusing who your child is. Also, could you back up? Your breath smells like seawater. Minnow decides to change the subject. So, there's this new movement of sorts floating around. I don't know how it sounds to you, but these people say there was no flood. What? Yeah, they believe that until recently, this has always been a world of water, and that we humans came from the ocean, our gills taken away, cursed to confine ourselves to these ships because we did something to anger the gods of the sea. I love her face. She's like, oh my god, who did I just make friends with? Commencing dive in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Commencing dive. Wait, what? Why is this the only word? Log 4 recruitment begins with Minnow meeting Kelsey in the Zoot Bay. He leads her to the one that looks like something out of a Sonic game, and given some of Nick's YouTube content, I'm not surprised. This may be strange to ask, but why are you being nice to me? I thought you hated me. Ugh, look, no one on this ship really hates you, except my aunt. They just hate the current captain, and you're an easier target. They all had this pipe dream that one day Andrea would come to her senses and be captain again. I was mad that she was gone, and I liked her too. I told myself that picking on you would somehow honor her. I was stupid, okay? I thought it was sick that you kept the toy, like you didn't even care about what happened. I didn't get it. It made me angry. But I was dead wrong about everything. I should have realized that was your way of grieving. That you were hurting more than anyone else here. So, yeah. Sorry about everything. You won't get any more grief from me. God, it's good to have a three-dimensional bully character. Minnow leaves and overhears two guys talking about how the captain heeding Nolk's warning is bullshit, or blub, as they say. They mention that a couple guys took a speedboat and decided to go to Nolgo Island anyway. We cut to them, led by Casey Jones over here, as their laser-guided karma takes aim. Fools! You're going to be killed! Turn her out! What? Anyone else see that? What was that? Bleeding Betty! The motor's exploded! Now what? Guys? What are those things? Sharks? Angry merfolk? Oh shit, it's Subject Delta! Do you have a moment to talk about Cthulhu? The pirates take them to Nolgo Island, where we meet one of the commanders. You can really see the Nova Orbis in this guy. It's kind of interesting. I'll cross your hearts in the name of the Queen.
So these pirates, you know, one of the first forms of democracy, all obey a queen with their lives? Man, piracy has made quite the journey, hasn't it? I imagine you're all wondering what's going to become of you. Worry not, bros. Well, I think I just found the voice for this guy. Worry not, we've got you covered. Name's Hack. I hope he has a brother named Slash. I'll keep this simple, see? Some very wealthy people in high places have hired us to reserve this newly emerging land for them. Be honored, lowly ankle-biters like you lot get to touch it. But if you do anything to soil or taint this place,
Taint.
the very second I see you piddle yourselves like frightened puppies, I'm going to bury you in that exact spot and mark it with an X for future generations to find, so they can dig you up and wonder what sort of rich life story could have ended in such a silly way. Oh yeah, you're pirates now. What, don't like that? You don't want to be a pirate? Then you shouldn't have acted like pirates. You already knew the joke was coming, so why waste the time? Log 5 Pieces starts with Minnow working as Kelsey finishes his own shift. That's the end of my shift. I'm checking out for the day. Alright. Turn off the lights and close the doors on your way out, okay? Okay, later. God, I love when the bully becomes a friend. Kelsey spots the pirate ship on his way out, but they net him before he can pull a conveniently placed alarm. He manages to radio his aunt, who of course is tweezing her eyebrows, but he's cut off by the pirates crushing his radio.
Didn't need a check-in today. You only came to see how you're doing. This is your fault. Just like everything else.
Minnow races to fight the pirates, but does so in the most friendly and polite way.
Red light means empty. I can throw those boxes further, and they won't hit as hard.
Ugh!
He'll walk that off. Sorry, please just leave the hostages and go!
We love it because we identify with it. We've often thought about how we'd fight in movies and TV and stuff. And often it's just like this. Hack radios in to ask what they're doing. What? You feebs are wasting time on some yahoo in a forklift?
Interesting swear substitutes. But like most swear substitutes, they don't fucking work.
Okay, let's get... What is this garbage? She caught us with her trousers down, sir. Ugh. You realize what this means, right? Now I'll be up all night inventing entirely new words to adequately convey this currently indescribable shame I'm feeling. Sorry, sir.
I'm gonna have to work extra hard because they're gonna have to be family friendly for some reason.
Sorry doesn't cut it. Tonight's spider crab legs are cancelled. You'll have to share those leftover fish sticks instead. Oh man, none of us even like those. Good, shut it! It's time for a sick nasty skirmish, brah! This one's probably their leader. If I scare them away, the others should follow suit and retreat.
I can do this!
Oh, shit.
As we see Hack recognizes Minnow somehow, log 6 cycle begins with security guards storming in with green text bubbles for some reason. Hack retreats, and Minnow passes out later for whatever reason. Blood loss, maybe?
A lot of shit just seems to kind of happen in this book for no discernible reason.
Minnow wakes up and... Oh my god. I'm sorry, but seeing somebody as just a stump is really unfortunately funny. Just play it, you know what's coming.
A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't. Well, what's that then? Just a flesh wound.
We get a summary of the next week, but weirdly it's told to us this time. Why not just do something similar to the second scene?
I do think the outcome and repercussions of the fight are great, though. Putting one up and losing gives Minnow good character and drive, and actually gets people to treat her nicely for once. Something I love is that people give her gifts that she doesn't know what to do with. Something I think we can all relate to.
Here, son. Merry Christmas.
Wow, thanks. It's... seeds?
Yes, seeds.
Oh. Thanks. After Minnow mopes some more, we cut to the Barracuda gang ship, where Hack brings Kelsey a potato and asks him about Minnow, only for Kelsey to tell him that she might not even know who she is. Log 7 Disrepair returns us to the Baylina, where we're introduced to Commander Honora Hakes.
Give it a rest, you fool. I wasn't even 2 minutes late this time.
Nice uniform. What rank is that?
Beautiful, isn't it? It's a gift.
Really? I don't have friends who make things like that for me.
You jealous?
A little. This can't be right. Neither of these characters are miserable. Do I have the right book? The captain introduces Honora to Minnow. Good day, Minnow. I'd like you to meet a friend of mine in the Navy. This is Honora Hakes, commander of the Persidae.
Pleased to meet you, Minnow. I've heard about your run-in with the pirates. Not just any pirates, but the Barracuda gang, no less. That's truly something. That was very brave of you to stand up to them like you did. I'm sure Andrea would be. Thank you. It was nice meeting you, too. I'll go back to work then.
Minnow? I love that. That's definitely an autistic introduction. As Minnow leaves, though, she trips and the two have to help her up.
I swear, if you didn't know any better, you'd think Minnow was like the trap girl from Kill la Kill with how often you're supposed to pity her.
However, we learn that her moodiness is a result of Puppy not eating. We cut to the bridge as Honora looks over Minnow's files. She tells the doctor that due to various reasons, Minnow is the only candidate to pilot a prototype rescue suit. She also offers to give her a new prosthetics. Oh, and a new cyber kidney. Sorry, I totally forgot about that. I think Minnow should be able to do in life as she chooses. She's an adult.
She is? Wait, how old is she? And is the adult age of this world even still 18?
Meanwhile, Minnow sees a poster of her in the corridor wall, and she is not happy. Oh, look at that face! You don't mess with Minnow! She confronts the people putting them up, who tell her Miss Marks was the one who commissioned this. Honora takes down the posters, and finds Minnow sulking about Puppy. Honora tells her that she has rare vitae injections that can help him. Minnow tells her she's deduced why Honora's here, and demands her to show her. Miss Marks tries to apologize to Minnow. You moved me from one apartment to the... another... okay. After Minnow finally gets to deliver a reason you suck speech to Miss Marks, she's taken to Honora's ship and given the surgery. She decides to break them in by breaking them down.
Oh, it's good when robots get their exercise. Really build those muscles.
Yeah, that's interesting, huh?
Pretty pointless, huh? Yeah.
And all it stands to do is add wear and tear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
That's how I feel about regular exercise.
She looks at something all Rocky style, even with her hands in her vest pockets. And we finally get to see her in her new suit. And it's badass!
Aside from the weird, doofy Tron helmet.
The final chapter, Log 8 Arrival, returns us to Hack and Kelsey going to meet the Queen. So, which ship is it? Keep your eyes on the water.
Oh God! It's a fucking Jesus Christ!
So they enter the ship like Jonah, ride on a monorail through the vaguest establishing shot in the book, and finally meet the queen of the Barracuda gang. And she has a pug with an eye patch because that's amazing. Also, the queen's design is really cool.
Except for the face. Bitch looks even more masculine than Minnow. And the chin scars looking like facial hair certainly don't help.
She's got some serious anime hair going on too. Anyway, after like the most ambiguous next time preview ever, you get to an author's note section. I played with Legos a lot, but my play was different from other kids. I mostly just built them, took them apart, built them back up, and broke them down again, over and over obsessively for hours. My play was treating it like a TV series, with arcs and everything. Probably how I ended up here. I could memorize every line in a movie after seeing it only once or twice, or a chapter of a book that was read to me one time and repeat it line for line, not missing a single word. Ugh, dude, you and me both, except me a little less. That's why I make my expressions series. The way my brain approached problems was different. Looking back, it almost feels like looking at another life, like reincarnation, you know? Ooh, that'd be interesting to explore in this book if you can work it in somehow. With that much of what brain power I had being diverted to things that seemed like such a waste of time, there was so much about the world I didn't understand that from the looks of it, my classmates did. I always seemed to be a step behind, even though I'd raced through my homework while still in the school to get to my true passion, drawing. I'm not sure if he's trying to make Minnow's experience with autism mirror his own, but I can't really find any evidence for it, and the world doesn't seem very conducive to that theory either. Drawing gave me that understanding of other people that I needed. It started with smiley faces and stick figures, then I got into Thomas and Friends. For me, it was drawing the boxing pickle from VeggieTales with chalk over and over again. Then I got a little older. My interests changed. I started getting into more mature things like Bionicle and Transformers, both of which have become less mature over the years, unfortunately. It was around this time that I gained a second passion, writing. In the beginning it was mostly fan fiction, but it was a start. I began applying myself in new ways, subverting things I never liked about certain stories, taking on more challenging subject matter, increasingly adult, serious material, and even the occasional children's book. And I threw it all into the public sphere to see what people made of it. I might have to find it. Maybe review a certain fan series for a certain special month. But I never would have made it here, never come close, if it weren't for people like my mother. Throughout all my excursions, she believed in me when I can say many parents in her place probably wouldn't. Same here, buddy. Is there a market for a story featuring an autistic character? Is there even an audience of people who may want to read such a thing? Stupid question. Of course there is. Well, a few ableists may see some danger in normalizing the condition, or giving neuroatypical people false hope by making it seem like not that terrible of a thing. Those people are idiots. Like me, she is at a point in her life where in most conversations people may not even pick up on it, and no one in the story ever outright calls out what her condition is by name. But there are enough flashbacks to her youth and other more current scenes where the symptoms manifest that people who have seen these symptoms before in real life, or know someone who has them, or even have these symptoms themselves, will notice and realize, oh, she's autistic, okay, neat. Also, you stating it beyond the fourth wall, like on the back of the book. I want Minnow to go places, I want her to succeed. In the contents of this series of books, I've developed a whole world for Minnow to live in, and I hope readers find this to be compelling stuff, because there is very little Minnow does in this story that any high-functioning autistic person could not also accomplish. But first she has to crawl through hell, because that is a writer's duty. And we end on a picture of Minnow holding a merfolk child whose fins make her look like she has a clown nose. This comic is pretty damn good. It's a nice way to introduce us to this world without having too much ham-fisted exposition thrown at us. The characters are nice, and their journey and mystery are certainly interesting. Nick has also told us that he wanted to avoid an ugly duckling type trope with Minnow. That is to say, he didn't want her to just suddenly have this skill that people learn to use with her. So basically, he didn't want her to be Rudolph, I guess.
However, I feel like it might be too soon to get this bleak. We once saw a post that said, as writers, it is our duty to create lovable, relatable characters, and then do terrible, horrible things to them. But there's a reason it's in that order. If we don't really know the characters before shit hits the fan, then the events aren't as powerful.
Nevertheless, if you want to support an independent artist, then check the link in the description to dive in and check out the book for yourself.